Hello my people, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be dissecting express entry, basically express entry 101. So by the end of this video you'll be able to kickstart your Canada journey from Nigeria or any other part of the world, because the process is pretty much the same everywhere. So don't go anywhere, get your pen, get your paper, get your notepad, and let's get right into the video. So before we get started, if you are watching right now and you haven't subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button, and also remember to hit the like button so YouTube can show my video to a lot more people. So now let's get started. What is express entry? So I mean, this is disclaimer, I'm going to be checking my phone from time to time because obviously this is going to be a walkthrough video and also to get like the specifics right, so bear with me. So express entry is basically an application management system used by Sisi to manage and process applications received through Canada's Federal Economic Immigration Program. Basically, express entry in a nutshell is just like an application system that processes all of the applications from the 3 economic immigration schemes, which we are going to talk about in a couple of minutes. So express entry is a very competitive immigration system, ranking all eligible candidates against one another and then inviting the best ranking candidates to apply for Canadian permanent residence. Candidates are ranked against one another based on age, education, language proficiency, work experience, and other factors. Basically, it is a very competitive system, so it ranks individuals against each other based on different factors. So based on your language, based on your education, based on your work experience, based on your age, based on your ties to Canada, based on your education in Canada, based on your work experience in Canada. So there are a couple of factors that come together to make the different immigration programs, and specifically the express entry programs. So first of all, I'm going to start from like the very beginning. I hate to break it to you, but not everybody is eligible to come to Canada under these immigration systems. Yeah, it's a sad truth. Not everybody is eligible. So the first thing to do is to determine your eligibility. I'm going to be putting the link somewhere here in the description box, so feel free to check the description box for the links to everything that I'm going to talk about today. So the first thing first, like, yes, everybody's going to Canada, yes, you want to go to Canada, but yeah, too bad, not everybody is eligible for express entry or for all the other immigration pilots. So you sort of like have to determine your eligibility. So I'm going to be doing a walkthrough on how to do that and how to, like, what to check for. And to be very honest, in this journey, like, information is key. Like, you need to be able to do your research. Everything is on Google, just type, right? But never mind, I'm here to hold your hands and give you all the guidelines you need to get started. By the end of this video, you feel like a pro when they are talking about Canada express entry. Yeah. All right, so now I'm going to be looking down at my phone because I am screen recording as well to attach to this video so that we can all watch it alongside. All right, so the first thing to do is go to Google and simply just type determine eligibility for express entry. Once you do that, please note that most of the information that you search on Google that pertains to Canada, you would see that the first few results will come from Canada's website, and it's simply www.canada.ca. So every information you actually need about immigration is on their website. So I've typed determine eligibility for express entry, so I'm just going to click the first link, and then it shows you eligibility for express entry programs, the 3 express entry programs, and then you click on each of them. And full disclosure, I came here with the Federal Skilled Worker Program, so I'm just going to like break that down so that we understand what the 3 different express entry programs entail. So the Federal Skilled Worker Program is a program that literally invites people that are skilled in different occupations and different fields. So they want to invite experienced people that have worked at least 40 hours of 1 year continuous employment. So if you've worked between 1 year and 3 years, and it's not part-time, full-time, continuous, at least actually 35 hours, right, and above. I think in Nigeria it's 40 hours. Some people do 35 hours, so that is valid. So any job that entails that from 1 year to 3 years in those occupational codes are eligible to come to Canada. Right, so federal skilled worker program is basically like work experience based, like 9 to, let's just say 9 to 5. If you've worked a 9 to 5 and you have at least 1 to 3 years of experience in a 9 to 5, then you are most likely eligible to apply for the express entry under the federal skilled worker program. So that is the program that I used to come to Canada. And there's also like the federal skilled trades program. So this is for like apprentices, right? Yoruba people will say awonisha war. So like technical guys like hairstylists, nail technicians, plumbers, basically those professions that do not require an educational degree. So the first category I talked about, obviously for you to work in 9 to 5, for the most part, you would have gone to university or at least a polytechnic. You basically have a degree to do all of that. So federal skilled trades program doesn't require a degree. So it's just like apprentices, technical jobs, electricians, factory workers, machine instructors, and all of that stuff. So that's the category of federal skilled trade program. That's not really popular because they have a draw at least like once in 2 years or thereabouts. So it's not really a popular scheme. They hardly do draws based on those. So majority will talk about when they say express entry, they're referring to the federal skilled worker program because that is where the bulk of the numbers come from. Okay, so the third one is the Canadian experience class. The Canadian experience class is basically people that have worked in Canada for at least 1 year. So students are, after working, they've gotten their postgraduate work permit and they've worked in Canada for at least 1 year continuously. I'm not talking part-time, full-time 1 year job with at least 35 hours. Then they fall into the Canadian experience class. So these guys get points for working in Canada, and of course they get a lot more points for working in Canada. So those are the 3 programs under express entry. So the federal skilled worker program, then the federal skilled trades program, and also the Canada experience class or Canadian experience class. All right, so basically back to determining your eligibility, right? So when you want to get to this page, you see your eligibility for entry programs. Just choose the one that applies. So I'm just going to click the federal skilled worker program, and to tell you eligibility to apply as it is this, it tells you like the different requirements that you need. So the language ability, the education, and it says you must meet all the minimum requirements to be eligible, right? So selection factors, if you meet all of these, so basically you need to be able to read all of this. Anyways, there's a shortcut that I'm going to show you guys in the next couple of minutes, but if you want to do your due diligence and you want to read up to see where you actually fit in, then I suggest that you go through this document. All right, so that's that for determining eligibility. And so because I said I'm going to be talking about mostly the federal skilled worker program, there's something called the occupational code, right? Every profession, is tied to a particular occupational code. So bankers have occupational codes. It's a 4-digit code. Engineers have their code. Data analysts have their code, data scientists have their codes, biochemical engineers have their codes, medical practitioners have their code. So like every occupation for the most part have their codes, right? So in this express entry, the most important thing for you is to actually check your code to even see where you belong, and then you'll be able to do a lot more research. So like I said, going also by DIY or like putting you through how to do that, I'm going to show you also step by step how to find your NOC codes, right? So let's get right into it. Okay, so here I'm just going to Google. Like I said, Google is your friend in this journey. So I'm just going to Google NOC Code Canada. And remember what I said the first time, the first few links will come from Government of Canada's website, right? So you can already see the first link that says find your NOC code. So I'm just going to click that, and here it talks about the different codes, talks about like the different classification, type 0, type A, type B, all of that stuff. Please feel free to read all of that, but I'm just going to skip right to the part where you actually see your code and you search for your job titles, right? So I'm just going to scroll down, and there's a link here that says NOC website. Find your job title, code, and skill type, right? So I'm going to click my NOC website, and it takes me to the NOC website. So sort of like leaves the Canada website, right? So here there are different versions, so make sure that you choose the most recent version. So I'm picking the 2021 version. And so here, what you do here, this place that says enter your job title. So I could type, for example, let's search for medical doctor. For some reason, for some weird reason, I don't know why no profession is coming to mind. Medical doctor. Yeah, so let's do medical doctor. Right, and so here we see the unit group, we see the occupation. So the first thing you want to do, right, is because, to be honest, not all job titles are going to be found in the search, right? So you scroll to the very right, and there's something that says matching job titles. So you see all of that job titles that point to the same line of jobs. So once I click matching job title, you see it's medical doctor. However, if you click on the NOC code itself on the left here, which is this 5-digit code, right? Once you click it takes you into the code. So basically, this is the most important part, because you need to make sure you are choosing the exact code that matches your experience. So now notice that when I click into this code, it tells me about the different types of general practitioners and the doctors and everything, and also it gives you example titles. So once I click on index of titles, I see all the possible job titles that are associated with being a doctor. All right, so now I can see like general practice intern, I can see doctor, I can see medical missionary, all of that. So basically it's the same process. You just go in there, type in your job title, and based on the result that comes out, click on the code and check index of titles or example titles to see that your job title is listed, right? So that is step one. Once a job title is listed, now the main duties are the most important, right? So you have to read all of these main duties and see if it matches at least 75% of your current job role, meaning that your job role must match at least 75% of these main duties that is listed under that NOC code for you to be eligible to claim that NOC code. So simply put, if you say I'm a doctor and the duty says that, oh, doctor examines patients, a doctor takes patients' history, provides emergency care, prescribes and administers medications, yada yada yada, and they list out all the 10. You should have at least 7 out of 10 in your current job description for you to qualify as being under that NOC code, right? So the same thing applies for all other occupations, right? So once you figure out what the NOC code is and you scroll down, once you scroll down once again, you see some things. For example, there's something called exclusions. So here it's telling you that chiropractors, for example, are not under medical doctors. So it gives you their own code. It tells you also that managers in healthcare are not under medical doctor, they have their own code. So feel free to look at the exclusions. You might find that your role is actually an exclusion to that general NOC code, right? So you click on any of them also once again if you find yours, and it takes you to the same page where you see the hierarchy, and you can actually just click into it and see all the other. So now the fastest shortcut to this is actually just going on Google, right? And I mean, I put this last because the surest way to make sure you're not making a mistake is actually checking the NOC website yourself, reading all of the duties to see that it assigns to what you're currently doing, because HR sometimes they give us job titles that don't actually match what we are doing. So you don't want to find yourself in a dilemma. The most important part is not even the title, it is the duties under the NOC code. So you need to make sure that your current role matches the duties. So another fast way to do this, like I said, Google is your friend, is to simply go to Google and just type in there NOC code for doctors or medical doctors or whatever. Like you can see there are different options that are coming up, like because people have obviously searched for things like this before. You are not the first, right? So NOC code for medical doctor, you know, then you see results for obviously from different websites. So it's this same 3112. You like, so that's the thing with doing this, you see different contrasting NOC codes. But if you have the time and you pick like the highest one, so for example there's 3112, there's 3111, like there's 3111, so you might want to just copy that code, go back to your NOC code website, right? And okay, I've closed it. Go back to your NOC code website, search. You can also search with the NOC code. Let me show you that very quickly. You can go to your NOC code, and search by, instead of job title, there's something here that says search by NOC code. So you can actually just put 0311. I don't know if that's the correct NOC code, but okay, not found. But basically you can search by the NOC code as opposed to also searching by the NOC title. So if you've gone on Google to check, for the what's it called, for the NOC code, and you have it, you can just go back to the NOC website and search for it. So now that we've spoken about NOC code, now the next thing, because these are like basics that you need to know before we even begin to talk about the express entry process. While you are determining your eligibility and doing all your research before you start the Canada process, is to even find out where you are, right? So the next thing would be to calculate your CRS score. So a CRS score is simply the comprehensive ranking score. You know, I said earlier that express entry is a very competitive scheme. So basically everybody is ranked against each other. So that is called like your CRS score. So basically everybody is in the pool. I'll explain this in the next couple of minutes as well. And everybody has a score. So liken it to like JAM, Post-ITA, whatever, right, for Nigerians. So you've written your exam, you have your JAM score, right? And in this case, your JAM score is your CRS score, right? And you want to go into the university, obviously, or a polytechnic or whatever. Those institutions will then have their own cutoff mark as well, like their own post-ITA score. So liking the post-ITA score as the draw score. So basically you have your CRS score, you have your JAM score, and then if your score, your JAM score, is higher than the university's cutoff mark, of course, you know that automatically you will go and write the exam, or you know, you might get your admission depending on what, you know, each university's process is. But basically, liking the CRS score to your JAM score and your draw score with the UTME score, because once everybody has their score, every 2 weeks Canada holds a draw score, right? So there's always a draw. So during the draw they release a cutoff mark. So in this case, liking it to your UTME or post-UTME cutoff mark. So everybody that gets greater than or equal to that cutoff mark automatically gets an invitation to apply. So basically now I want to show you how to calculate your CRS score. So because CRS score is like a combination of all the different factors that I mentioned earlier on: your age, your education, your language proficiency, your work experience. So basically all of this put together gives you a score. So stay with me, I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step on how to actually calculate your CRS score, because that's the first thing. You need to know your score check the history of all the scores that have been released in the previous draw, and then you know whether you stand a chance, or then you know what to do next. So this is basically your assignment. So I'm taking a lot of time to explain this beginning stage because the other parts I'm going to rush through it. I don't want this video to be too long. Well, anyways, let's get right into the CRS score. So now I have a link. All of these links are going to be in the description box, so don't worry about that. But also my screen is being recorded on my phone, and I'm going to attach it here in the video. Actually, I don't know, here or here, somewhere in the video, so you can look at, you know, the way I am looking at it right now. All right. So I already have this, you know, in my bookmark. So the moment I type CRS, it literally just comes out, because I mean I've probably sent this link to hundreds of people. So it takes you straight to the comprehensive ranking system tool for express entry, which is what we're going to do. So I'm just going to scroll down. You can also, you know, use all of these tools to, you see the first thing they said here is use this tool only if you are eligible. So like I said initially, you have to determine your eligibility, read all the requirements, see if you tick all the boxes before you even begin this journey. Okay, so now we are going to start with the first question. It says, what is your marital status? I'm going to use this sample as a single family, as a single person that is not married. Feel free to choose any option that applies to you, but majority, I mean, based on popular demand right now, single people that are requesting to do this video, requesting me to do this video. So I'm going to use a demo of a single person. It's pretty much the same process for everybody, whether you are single or not. So I'm just going to come here and start here, right? So it says, what is your marital status? I'm going to choose single / never married. All right, it says also, how old are you? So like I said, this system is based on different factors like your age. So I'm going to demo with a 26-year-old. Feel free to push your actual age. All right, 26 years of age. So what is your level of education? Here it's very tricky. You need to make sure you're reading it properly. So it says, enter the highest level of education for which you have earned a Canadian degree, a diploma, or a certificate, or if you've had an educational credential assessment, if you studied outside of Canada and whatnot. So if you watched my previous video, I talked about, when I was talking about my PPR story, I talked about the agencies that help you evaluate your Nigerian degree and convert it to Canadian standard. So in this case, I'm going to choose whatever, like for example, if you have a bachelor's degree, that is like 1 degree, obviously. If you, let me put it to you now, congratulations to those that did diploma. Like your diploma, no always to, if you did a 1 year and above course, those that did their OND before doing HND, that is also 2 degrees. Those that did diploma and crossed to BSc, that is 2 degrees. Of course, those that did masters is obviously a masters. And so in terms of like hierarchy, I would explain this one in the next couple of minutes, but for the sake of this demo on how to calculate your score, feel free to choose the one that applies to you. If you have a master's, if you have a BSc, and also, for example, like professions that require license to practice, like lawyers that have to get called to bar, like doctors that have to get their medical license, pharmacists also that have to get license. All of those professions are equated to a master's degree. So when you're filling your CRS score right now, make sure that you choose a master's degree, because that is the equivalent of the degree you have as a professional. Too bad for engineers and the likes, like your BSc is your BSc, your master's is your master's. But for those that require a license to practice, you don't choose BSc, you're going to choose a master's. And if you have 2 or more degrees, feel free to choose 2 or more degrees, for example, and the second degree must be at least 1 year of study. So pre-degree and GMAT, is it something SAT, all of those, they don't count. You need to do at least 1 year. So diplomas are generally accepted. So OND and HND, that is 2 degrees. So if you went to a polytechnic, congratulations. But anyways, so here I'm going to choose a bachelor's degree. All right. And now scroll down, it says, have you earned a Canadian degree, diploma, or certificate? So if you answer yes, you will choose it there. For example, if you studied in Canada, right, and you have a Canadian degree, feel free to choose yes. But if you are in Nigeria and you've not studied in Canada, you know, all of that, just click no. Then also, of course, is asking you about your language proficiency. The English exams expire in 2 years, so for you to be eligible, your results have to be valid, right? So it means it must not have expired. So here they're asking you, are your test results less than 2 years old? That is your language test result. I'm going to click yes because that is an important criteria. So this says, which language did you take first for your first official language? I'm going to choose IELTS because IELTS is the English exam that you have to take, you know, if you're coming from Nigeria or any other country. So the popular exam is IELTS. For those that take the French exam, they'll choose TEF or TCF, right? But here we're going to choose IELTS because that is the English exam that majority will choose. So for your test scores, so the cutoff mark for your English exam is 8.0 in listening and 7.0 in all other 3. So 7.0 in reading, 7.0 in writing, and 7.0 in speaking. However, your listening must be 8.0. So that is the criteria for you to get any point for language proficiency. It's so bad that if you as much as get 8.77 and you get 6.5 in the first one, you get 0 mark for language proficiency. So for you to get any mark for language, you must get 8 in listening and 7 in all the other parts. I mean, it is what it is. So here I'm just gonna go ahead and, yeah, I think my recording stopped. I'm just going to go ahead and pick speaking, and speaking is, you know, the cutoff mark is 7.0, listening is 8.0, reading is 7.0, writing is also 7.0. So I have 8777 as per the cutoff mark. Also, you definitely can max out these points. You can score way higher than this. So when you're calculating your score, you feel free to put the scores that you think that you can achieve. But right now I'm working with the barest minimum that is required for you to, you know, be qualified for Express Entry. All right. So it also now asks, do you have other language results? So if you have dual language proficiency, like you have a French exam, you've taken the French exam as well, feel free to choose TEF or TCF, right? But I'm not going to choose that because I didn't do it, and I don't really know anybody that is French proficient. Okay, one person, right? So I'm just going to choose not applicable because I'm only working with the English exam. So now talking about work experience. So it says you have to be very careful here. In the last 10 years, how many work experience in Canada do you have? Right? So I'm going to go ahead and click no, none or less than a year, because I've never worked in Canada. I'm assuming that you have never worked in Canada as well, but if you have worked in Canada, that is amazing. You automatically qualify for the Canadian experience class, so feel free to choose that if that applies to you. But the average person from Nigeria hasn't worked in Canada, so I'm just going to choose none or less than a year. Right? So in the last 10 years, how many total foreign work experience do you have? So now your Nigerian work experience is now your foreign work experience. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and click 3 years or more, because that is the highest point, to be honest, for you to get. So if you have 3 or more years of experience, feel free. If you have 1 year also, feel free to put that, right? So this is just a demo. So I'm choosing 3 or more. And then the next question says, do you have a certificate of qualification from a Canadian province? Also, again, an average Nigerian waiting to start Canada journey doesn't have this, so I'm going to click no. Right? Additional points, it says, do you have a valid job offer? So if you've gotten a job offer, feel free to click yes. Once again, an average person waiting to start this journey, the answer is no, right? So I'm clicking no. I'm running through all of this, but feel free to read all of this before you select. All right. Next question says, do you have a nomination certificate from the province or territory? Like I said, an average person doesn't have a provincial nomination, so I'm just going to click no. So now the next question, do you or your spouse or common law, if they will be coming to Canada, have at least a brother or a sister who is a citizen? So basically here in Canada, you get points for having a sibling in Canada, and it has to be blood. Cousin doesn't matter here. For Express Entry Federal Skilled Worker Program, it has to be like blood. So the person has to be 18 years or older. The person has to be related to you or your partner if you are coming in as a couple. So either you or your husband's brother or sister is applicable, or the person is your husband or wife. So blood / marriage / common law partnership, like boyfriend girlfriend, they call them common law partnership here, or adoption. So if you have an adopted, brother or sister, all of that stuff, or if you now have a brother or sister that is related to you, but I think I've said that, by blood, adoption, marriage, stepbrother or stepsister, in this case, you also get points for that. So if you have a brother or sister in Canada, blood brother, or you have a husband, you have a wife, you have an adopted child or whatever, common law partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, feel free to choose yes. But in this case, I'll choose no, because then again, an average person waiting to start this process doesn't have a relative in Canada. All right, so the final step is to calculate your score. So you're just gonna hit calculate your score, right? So I've chosen the sibling part. I chose the no, right? Because an average person doesn't have all of this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click calculate your score, and then scrolling down, you see how the points are ranked. So for the age, you get 110 points. For the education, you get 120 points. For languages, you get 124, provided that you get the cutoff marks for the language, right? And all other factors like your husband, your wife. This is a single demo, so feel free to choose the one that applies to you if you're coming in as a family, all right? And the work experience and all of that. So basically, scrolling down to the end, your CRS score for this demo that I did is 429. So before you even begin this process, you need to know your hope, basically know where your faith lies. Like, you need to know what next steps are for you. So for this demo that I did, this person's score is 429. So for example, if I go, and I'm just going to show you, there's an application for that which is called the Can PR app. All right, I don't know them or anything. This is not an ad for them, but this is an app that I used right from when I was waiting to start this program. So I'm just going to record my screen and show you how to check for the scores, right? So now it has a lot of information about express entry and all of that, so feel free to go through the app if you are interested. You should be interested though. So I'm just going to click on stats. So stats is like statistics showing the scores, right? Like I said, draws are performed every 2 weeks, so this app updates the scores as they are performed, right? So pre-COVID, scrolling down to pre-COVID in 2019, 2020, right? The scores used to be like 473, 471, 472, 457, 463. So basically what this means is every 2 weeks when they release this score, bam, like this, and your CRS score is greater than that score or is equal to that score, they will tell you to submit your documents, meaning that your one leg is already in Canada, right? So the hardest part is getting that invitation to apply called ITA. I'm going to be using ITA often in this video, so please hold it at the back of your hand like this, so I don't have to say this, all the time. So before I continue, if you are watching till this point, you've not subscribed, please help me. I don't know what you gain if you don't subscribe to this family. And please hit the subscribe button if if you've subscribed, please hit the like button, just so that YouTube knows that things are happening on this channel. So yeah, getting back to where we left off. Okay, so that being said, after showing you how to calculate your CRS score, I'm going to move quickly to the other components of the express entry. So now we're starting it. So at this point, I want to assume that you're no longer a layman. Like, you already know what NOC is, you already know what ITA is, and somehow you're already getting a hang of what this is about. So getting started with this journey, right? I mean, of course, if you are trying to immigrate from other parts of Canada to Canada, like other part of the world, basically, anywhere aside from Canada, the first thing to do is to evaluate your educational credential, right? Whether it is your Canada Experience class, whether it is a skilled worker program, you need to evaluate your academic credentials. So basically, there's a body called WES, World Educational Services, that does that. So basically, what the credential evaluation does is it converts your Nigerian certificates or your Nigerian degree, your bachelor's degree, your master's, you name it, all other degrees, it converts it to Canadian standard, and by so doing, like, it converts it to Canadian standard, basically, and you can use it for your immigration purpose. So there are other bodies apart from WES. There's WES and there's ICAS. Those are the two popular bodies that Nigerians use to evaluate their credentials. There's MCC, which is for mostly the medical guys, and PEBC, Pharmacist, I think, Examination Board Council or Board of Canada or something. So basically, pharmacists and medical practitioners have a different body, like nurses and the likes. I think they have like a different body that evaluates their certificate. So once again, feel free to plug into Google, search for your field or your credential, your degree, to see the one that actually works the best for you. But anybody that is not like a licensed, like medical license, or like a law student, lawyers tend to use ICAS, by the way, just saying. And then of course those in the medical field that require license use MCC and PEBC or PEBC. Those are quite expensive. They're about 600 Canadian dollars as compared to like WES, which is 280 Canadian dollars, and ICAS is about 200 Canadian dollars, void of tax and delivery fees. So it still comes up to like $280 basically. So right as of now, I'm going to be speaking in CAD, but I'll put the conversion on the screen. As of right now, Canadian dollars to Naira is about 535 Naira. So that will bring your WES fee to about 150,000 Naira. So WES takes between 4 to 6 months. So what the process is basically you go to your university or your school, you fill a form and request that they send your transcript to WES or to whatever educational body you decide to use. So for example, if you attended Unilag, you go to Unilag and fill forms to tell them to send your transcript to Canada, the address, WES address in Canada. And when they do that, WES, verifies the document. WES tells you that they have received the document from your school, and then they ask you to upload your own certificate. So basically, if you evaluated your BSc, you will also have to upload your original BSc certificate, your diploma statement of results, because I know diploma guys don't get certificates. So after they receive all of the transcript from your school, they require you also to upload the original copies of certificates of your degrees. So once all of the correspondence is done, like between WES and your school, and most times the delay comes from like getting verification, because basically your school sends your transcript via DHL, like you pay for it, right? And WES receives it. WES, like, they don't want to assume that it's from your school, because anybody can send them a fake document, right? So they always have a verification process whereby they ask your school to verify that they actually sent a package, first of all, and also verify that the information, that is your transcript and your grades and all of that, basically verify that the information is correct. and that's usually where the delay is. For private uni, they hardly have this problem, but for federal universities, oh my God, like that's the time where you have to be bribing everybody up and down and really just like following up, because if you're not careful, that process can take like 3 months in itself, waiting for verification, because your school will say they didn't see the email from West will say they keep sending, and automatically every 6 weeks West resends the verification email. So if they sent it the first time, your school did not respond, they'll send another one in another 16 weeks, 6 weeks rather. So you need to always like follow up with your school, and for whatever it's worth, you would see the progress results, the progress reports rather, in your West portal. So you see the stages that they've got into. So once the verification process is done and you have uploaded your certificate, West takes 35 business days. So that's about 6 weeks, right? 1.5 months to do their processing. So it's like you have 3 months ish to, you know, from DHL, how long it takes from DHL from Nigeria to get to Canada, and also we're sending verification to your school. If you can speed up that process, that entire process to happen in 3 months, and West takes their 1.5 months to evaluate, you can literally finish your West in 5 months. So people usually just like plan that their West will take like between 3 to 6 months. So once your West is done, then like the next thing you need is your English exam, and that is the IELTS exam. I'll put the full meaning of IELTS up here, but it's basically the English Language Licensing Board that is in charge of your English exam. So basically it's testing you in 4 different areas: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And there are different grades, so each section has 40 questions. So basically, like, different sections have like their different marking scheme. So remember when we're calculating the CRS score, and I said that the cutoff mark is 8777. So 8 in listening, 7 in speaking, 7 in reading, 7 in writing, right? So how IELTS works is that, you know, you register for your IELTS exam. There are 2 major bodies in Nigeria that do it. There is the British Council, and there is MOD IELTS, right? So those 2 different bodies administer IELTS exams. So thanks to COVID, they now have computer-based. So when I did mine, it was paper-based. You go and write in your paper, and you know, you do your speaking physically and all of that. But right now, there's computer-based where you can actually take it in the convenience of your house. So you choose anyone that works for you. The IELTS exam is 83,000 for either of them. So whether the MOD or the British Council, as of today that I checked, anywho. So with these 2 things, right, once you get your WES and you get your IELTS, now you are ready to create an express entry profile, right? Because without these 2, you can't create a profile. You need to have your like WES done, and you need to have your English exam done. Whether or not you passed, as long as your result is valid, is not expired, because like I said, it expires in 2 years. Your educational credential validity is 5 years. So you have a long time. By God's grace, you'll already be in Canada before the expiration of that. But like your English exam takes 2 years to expire. So once you have these 2 things, and let me just let you in on a secret. So you can actually plan this, because 280 Canadian dollars is like 150k. If you have 150k you're not using right now, I advise you to start your WES, because it takes 6 months. So before the 6 months, 3 to 6 months basically, I'm just like on an average. So before your WES is ready, you would have gathered your 83,000 for your IELTS. Like, do it step by step, right? Instead of waiting to have all of the money once and for all. So you put in for your IELTS, so that at that time you have the 2 important things you need to get into the pool. So it is called the express entry pool. So when I say pool, it's like express entry pool. So you create an express entry profile. It's just a lot of forms. You are filling plenty English, listing all your family members, listing like the NOC codes that we checked earlier on. That is the point where you input your NOC code, you put your work history, you put your personal history, all the things you've done in the last, I think, 10 years, work-wise, all the things you did in the last 5 years. So if you've changed jobs, that's okay. If you've changed profession, that's okay. You can have more than 2 NOC codes actually. So if you've been changing roles, that's fine as well. As long as the cumulative of all of your work experience is more than 1 year, you're good to go. But the recommended is usually 3 years so that you can get the maximum points. All right. So once you create your Express Entry profile, you put all of this information. Basically, you can always make changes to your Express Entry profile. So if you find out along the line that I've made mistake with this NOC code that I put, you can always go back and edit it, make changes and submit. As long as you have not been issued an invitation to apply. The moment you get an invitation to apply, you cannot change anything in your profile again. You're going to have to decline the invitation if you feel like you put something in there that you cannot prove. Okay, so try not to put yourself in that situation because ITAs are hard to come by. So basically, once you've created your Express Entry profile, now congratulations, you are already, in the process of going to Canada. So basically, let me just liken the the Express Entry pool to like you being somewhere and you're carrying a placard like this on your head. So everybody's in the pool. I don't know whether to use a river or whatever. So you're there with your score on your head like this. Everybody's there with their head, their score on their head, hoping that, God, I beg, they go pick me. God, please pick me. So when IRCC, releases their draw score, Express Entry draw score, like I showed you earlier. So if, for example, if your score is 429 and they release a draw score of 430, congratulations to you. You are going to get an IT. As a matter of fact, if the draw score is 429 and your Express Entry score is 429, for the most part, you would also get an ITE. However, there's something called the tiebreaker rule, which is they are going to then look at people that have been in the pool longest. For example, if they have plenty people that have 429 and they always have an allocation, so at times for every draw they want to invite like maybe 2,500 people, and that is actually what determines like. So in that case, they look at like people that have been there the longest. So for example, you that just created your profile, this is September, you just created your profile in August or this same September, they might put the tiebreaker route at September 1st. So everybody that has applied before September 1st and that has 429 will get, and those that applied later might not get. So that's what the tiebreaker rules. But forget about that technicality, may that not be our portion, right? But honestly, like you are just in the pool with your score on your head, waiting for the draw score to be released, and once your score is equal to or greater than the draw score, you get your ITA invitation to apply. And like I said, that is one leg into Canada. All right, so now you've gotten your ITA. Congratulations to you. Now this is the time to basically, once you get your ITA, what they want from you is that you should prove to them that, for example, all the things that constituted your points, all the things that made up of your points, so you put the age that you're 26 years old, they're going to want to see the proof of age. You put it in there that for your IELTS you had 8777, they're going to want to see the proof, so you're going to upload your IELTS result. You put also in there that you have a BSc or you have a master's or you have a PhD. Guess what? They are going to want to see the proof. So that is the point where you upload the credential assessment from WES or whoever evaluates your education, right? So liking getting ITA or post-ITA as just like proving all the things that you said you are, right? Because they cannot just assume that because you filled a couple of forms, they should trust you. So that is the point. At that point, that's why I said it's one leg in, one leg out, provided that you didn't lie about all of your info. So that is the point where you literally just prove to them that you have all of this. So for example, if you said that you had a sibling or a blood connection to Canada, that is the point where you upload the proof of siblings, right? So for example, birth certificate showing the name of both your parents obviously will be on your birth certificate, and also the proof that this said sibling resides in Canada, so the person's permanent residency picture, and a couple of things. So proof of relationship, proof of residency also in Canada, right? So basically post-ITA is like proving to them that all of these things you said you had that gave you that point, because basically their computer computes your points based on all of those forms that we filled earlier in your CRS calculator. So now you have to prove to them that you have all of this. So once you get your ITA like this, you know, you can start to be happy. So now there are some other things that you did not put in, you know, when you were filling your form. So after your ITA, there are a couple of steps that you have to do to, you know, seal the deal. So first things first, they would require you to go and do your medicals, right? I hate to also break it to you that not everybody will be admissible to Canada, you know, on the health grounds. So they don't want anybody to come and be like a liability or hard pressure to their healthcare system. So there are some ailments that are not admissible for express entry in Canada. So once again, Google is your friend if you have anything you're dealing with, or like maybe, funny enough, cancer, hypertension, all of these are admissible because it can be managed. Even if you have all of those chronic diseases, you need to prove to them also that you have been managing it. So for example, proof that you go to the doctors regularly and you go for checkup and all of that. So like I said, feel free to do all your research, right? So yeah, at that point, some people might not be admissible to come to Canada based on health grounds, but the only way they would know that is, you know, by you doing your medicals. So after I get your ITA, so now they want to know whether you're medically fit to come to Canada. So you do your medicals. Then the next thing is your police clearance certificate. So for your police clearance, that's when you go to Nigeria. In Nigeria's case, you go to like CID in Alagmo, Ikoyi, Criminal Investigation Department, where you go and do like your fingerprint scanning and all of that to check whether you have like any existing criminal record, because also they want to know. So here's the thing, whether or not you have a criminal record, having a criminal record doesn't automatically make you inadmissible. It depends on what the record is for, right? But ultimately, when you're filling your express entry forms, like creating your express entry profile, there will be cases where they will ask you, do you have a record? Are you a criminal? Have you been convicted of any crime? If you go and say no, and you go and do your police clearance certificate, and they say you are a criminal, automatic, they will ban you from coming to Canada for 5 years. They don't joke. So if you lie about anything while creating your express entry profile, or you submit fake documents, people that go and doctor proof of fund, doctor this, if they catch you, it's called misrepresentation. 5 years ban. You will not even be able to enter Canada as a visitor or any, like you will not be able to step foot in Canada for 5 good years, right? So please and please make sure that they don't joke with the truth. You need to make sure that all the info that you are imputing when you're creating your express entry profile is actually legit. Like no hanky-panky, no hanky-panky, because they don't joke. The 5 years bank mean. So I digress. You have your medicals, right? And then you have your IRCC. Now the next thing is your proof of funds. So IRCC has proof of funds for like different categories of people. For a single person, it's about, as of now, it's 13,310 Canadian dollars, which is also about 7 million naira for a single person. I think for a family, for married people, is like 16,000 Canadian dollars. I'll put a picture of the proof of funds somewhere here as well. So now that is the point where they want to see the proof of funds. Like they need to be sure that you can take care of yourself when you come to Canada. Honestly, that's what the money is for. Now you get them. So they want to be sure that if in a month or two you are not able to find a job, you have enough to sustain yourself and your family, right? So after your ITA is the time where you submit your proof of funds, and that way you submit your bank statement, obviously get letter of reference also from your bank stating that truthfully you have an account with them and you know XYZ amount is in your bank account. So like I said, post-ITA is just proving to them that you have all of this info. Also, that is the point where you get letter of reference from your place of work stating that you've worked full-time for XYZ amount of years. If you have 3 or more companies, that is the time where you're going to get a letter of references from all those 3 people, provided that you claimed points for working with them. I'll give you an example. So if you've worked for you have 5 years experience, right? I've worked in 3 places. To be honest, it's 3 out of the 5 years that counts. So you can just get letter of references from the place that you've had the highest experience, and that works also. Like, you get what I mean? So you get letter of reference from your company. You've gotten letter of reference from your bank. Then of course you get, like, you go to Studio 24, go and snap passport photograph, you know, give them all the makeup and things. But yeah, basically they have like specification. Please, they are also very finicky like that. They will send you a document detailing like the dimension of your head, how your eyes should look, the ear they want to see, hair. Don't go and do DIY. Go to Studio 24. I'm not doing promo for them, but like other places, Kodak, all of those other standard studios, they'll tell them it's for Canada permanent residents. They know what to do, right? And you know, if you want to have OCD like me, sit down on them and be like, hey, this is the dimension they gave me, you know. So basically, my dear, once you submitted all of these documents, like to them, all the documents proving that true and true, you have your points, then before COVID, they had 6 months processing timeline, right? COVID came and my 6 months became almost 2 years. I hear now that the new applications are back to the 6 month processing time, which is amazing. So it means if you get an ITA right now, your processing time is no longer God knows when. It's most likely going to be around the 6 months mark, which is great. So basically, once you submit your application, just know that you are one and a half leg already in Canada. After your 2nd month, is it a month or 2 after you've done your medicals and all of that, they will have you go and do your biometrics. So biometrics also is where they check if you have, like, if you're a terrorist, if you have any criminal record. That's when they run your fingerprints, quote unquote, that you submitted from your police clearance. That's when, you know, they will actually also correspond it or cross-check it with their other databases. So for biometrics, you will go to their embassy. There's one on the island, I think Lekki. You go to their embassy to go and give your fingerprints, they take your pictures, they take all of your details. So basically, they want to run it through major crime databases. So they'll run it through NSA, FBI, Homeland, blah 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 blah, terrorists, anti-terrorism. So they have a couple of worldwide organizations, crime organizations, that they run your database through, just to be sure that, you know, you're not a criminal, you're not a terrorist. So once you've done your biometrics and they receive it, I think after a month or 2 after they've gotten your medicals, they will tell you whether or not you passed or you failed your medicals. So if you've passed your medicals and you're sure you're not a criminal, that means, and you filled all your forms properly, you submitted all the things they asked you to do in the format, like, they are very finicky. They will give you all the guidelines. Like, that's why I say I don't know why people pay agents to do their permanent residency application, at least after IT. Maybe good to have a second eye, but honestly, all of the information you need to do it by yourself is right on their website. Every single form, they have an information link there that tells you what they want from you. So if you've done every single thing, you've dotted your I's, you've crossed your T's, you've had your friends proofread with you, you've had people go through your application with you, and you are sure that you have done the correct thing, then, my dear, your 1.5 leg in Canada, it's not shaking. It's not going to be a question of how soon it's going to take them for them to process your application. So once your application is processed, the golden email, like we call it, is request for passport letter. It's called the passport request letter. So that's the point where they're going to request for you to send your passport to them so they can so they can stamp the passport with the Canadian seal. That seal. If you have not watched my video of when I got my Canadian seal, I'll link it somewhere here. Go and watch it, guys. The feeling is so surreal. I can't even describe it. So basically, that is the beginning and the end of the entire express entry process. I'm going to try to do another video detailing the cost implications of the express entry process, and also another video showing you how to increase your express entry score, and also how to get a provincial nomination to increase your express entry score. So look forward to those next couple of videos. In the meantime, please write for me in the comment section if you want me to do a walkthrough of how to apply for WES. So just so you can see how to get your credentials evaluated, let me know in the comment section if you want me to do a video on that. If you've watched it to this point, I hope that after this video you'll be able to start your process. Like I've been saying from get-go, every info you need is online. Every info you need is on Google. Google is your friend. So please have a friend in Google, and of course YouTube. There are a couple of videos when you're creating your express entry profile. Just search on YouTube how to create express entry profile step by step. You see a lot of videos showing you how to do that. There's a guy called Dream Abroad. He has a couple of videos on a lot of step by step how to create your profile, how to put together your documents. That's what I use, and it really helped me. Also, just like go on Google, type, okay, if you're confused about your NOC code, there are a lot of Nairaland forums, there are a lot of Telegram groups, a lot of community out there that talk about how to move to Canada. I know for a fact that the scores are very high right now. From the app I showed you earlier, the latest score was 511. That's pretty high. But like I said, in the next couple of videos, I'll be showing you how to increase your express entry score, to meet up, level up with the current trend, so you can get your ITA and you can come to Canada. I cannot wait to welcome you to Canada. I cannot wait for you to get to the border and they tell you, welcome to Canada. Yeah, if you believe it, you can do it, but you have to put in the work. So feel free to share this video with all of your friends that are asking you how to migrate to Canada, and let them watch this video. As for me, I'm going to be sharing with a lot of people because I have tons of people in my DMs, everybody asking me to do this video, and I'm glad I finally did, so I can send to everybody to watch. So information is power in this journey. You have to be able to do your research, unless you have money to go and pay agents, and be careful, may they not scam you. So you're better off doing it on your own. So we have come to the end of this video. If you've watched it to the end and you've learned a thing or two, please let me know in the comment section. It will mean a lot to me. Give this video a thumbs up if you really liked it. If you learned a thing or two, please give this video also a thumbs up as well, just as a form of encouragement. Also, if you haven't subscribed, this is your cue to go and subscribe. So I'll see you guys in my next couple of videos. Bye bye.